So hit the live button. Actually, before we start, man, you think I could borrow
Well,
like $5?
oh my
I
goodness,
had a
man. You're
situation
just,
going on.
you're just, we have the Polkadot expert on the channel, or all you can think of is just $3. So this guy, every
Hey,
every
man,
live stream, man, he's always asking for $3 or $5. It's kind of crazy, man. Some
you know
people
what?
never change.
I 100x leveraged the top, all right, and then I completely panic sold everything when we had the 50% pullback. So yeah, I'm
That's
just,
crazy,
it's
man.
$5. I'll pay you back in 2 weeks. I'm just
Okay, I
kidding.
got you, man. I got
I'm
you. Let's just
kidding. I'm
get this
kidding.
going, man.
Yeah. So, I think we should maybe introduce Claudius here from Kryptos Chain. Thank you a lot for coming on, man.
100%.
Thank you for having me, guys. I'm
Yeah.
glad to be here.
100%. So that's the thing, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We just want to talk about Polkadot overall, and we got the Polkadot expert himself, Kryptos Chain. He's gonna talk about some details about what's going on, just get you in the loop. And yeah, man, if you want to introduce yourself, talk about whatever you've been into with the Polkadot ecosystem, and yeah, we'll just have. If you guys have any questions or anything you'd like us to bring up in the stream, make sure leave it in the chats, and then we'll definitely take care of that. So yeah, man.
Yeah. Tell us about yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. So my name is Claudio. I run the YouTube channel Kryptos Chain. I'm also on Twitter and also on Library as well, the decentralized video platform. And I actually got into crypto back in 2017, just like a lot of people did back then, with the hype, the first bull run, the real bull run that we've had. When everyone got into crypto, all the altcoins are pumping, So I actually just got Bitcoin back around September of 2017, and I just didn't really look into altcoins. I was just like setting up a Coinbase account, got some Bitcoin, held it, and then I saw, oh, it's gone up 2x. So I got like super interested in that. It's like, oh, what's this crypto all about? Because it was somebody that told me. It was actually a workmate that told me about crypto. So that's how I even heard of it to begin with. And so, yeah, I ended up holding that. I saw it 2x, and then I got interested in it. And I started to look into these old coins, and I came across CoinMarketCap at the time. And I started to look into ones like Cardano, like Neo. And what really caught my attention at the time was Neo. And I just realized that there wasn't that much content out there when I was searching for it, right, on YouTube. So I thought, okay, let me dig into this ecosystem. Let me try and learn as much as I can. And then I decided to start my YouTube channel back in April of 2018 to talk about all the ICOs on Neo at the time. And it was the wrong time to start, as you guys could probably imagine, because it was the bear market. So
everybody just leave the space, when the price is not right, everyone's leaving.
Yeah, what a great time to start.
Exactly. So projects were just starting, like they basically had the funds from the ICO, but nobody was interested in crypto. So they were trying to grow their communities, and it just weren't able to, right? On Telegram, they were trying all these marketing strategies. So anyway, I've been covering a lot of those projects, and I've been following them closely, made some friends along the way there. And then eventually comes 2020 when Polkadot launched. I've switched completely, right? I saw Neo just doesn't have a shot, right? Maybe Neo itself does have a shot, but just not the ICOs on Neo. I thought, it's not good. I need to do something else. Okay. And Polkadot came into play, and I realized how big the vision is. Like I looked at what Gavin Wood is trying to achieve, and him being the creator, not only a co-founder of Ethereum, but also the creator of the programming language Solidity, in which Ethereum is developed in. That's huge, right? To create a programming language is not something that your average developer can do. So that takes a higher IQ than average, right? And I thought it was like super interesting what he's trying to achieve with Polkadot and the Parachains and how they work. And it's a lot of information to digest, right? So I started to look into that, and I started to cover projects on there. The ones that were potentially trying to become parachains, ones that were not trying to become parachains, but maybe working with the parachains eventually. So I started to cover a lot of content on that, trying to explain people what it's about. And that's how I got started, basically. And here I am even now, continuing to do so.
Yeah, we'll run on. So what was it specifically about Polkadot that kind of set it apart from the rest? Because there's so many. It seems like dozens and dozens of layer one smart contract blockchains. What was it about Polkadot specifically that makes you want to focus on it?
Yeah, I think it's just the idea of the parachains and the crowd loans. If you like the ICOs back in 2018, right, let's say maybe at the beginning of 2018, just before the hype went away, think of ICOs, but instead of actually losing your crypto, you're staking your crypto or locking it up, right? And this is where we could begin maybe with the canary network of Polkadot, which is Kusama. In case you're not already familiar with it, it did have the narrative of a test network back in the day, at least at the end of 2019, early 2020, and people didn't take it serious, hence why the price was super low. It even traded at like under $1 for a while. Considering that it went to a peak of 620, I believe. So, just over a year.
Yeah.
So absolutely humongous gains there for people that got in early. One guy in my community actually told me about Polkadot, and he got into Kusama, and he told everyone that he's getting into Kusama, and we're like, dude, this is just a pipe dream. I mean, look what Cardano was trying to do for so long. Nothing has happened. Nothing has moved. Nobody's interested in crypto. You know, it's the bear market. I maybe things are gonna move, but not now, right? So I just stayed away from it, and I absolutely regretted it because that was like missing like the earliest entry possible into Kusama. So
that's what always happens, man. That's what always happens. As soon as you think that nothing is just gonna stagnate for a bit and idle, then that's when things usually. That's the crypto space for you, I guess, in a nutshell. But maybe before we even get to that, and maybe we can just explain to the audience, maybe briefly, what Parachains are, what the crowd loans are, how Polkadot's Parachains overall work, and maybe from there we'll start talking more and more about your favorite projects.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So first of all, we need to begin with Polkadot and Kusama. So we've got Polkadot, which is the relay network. Think of it like a layer 0 blockchain, right? A blockchain which you cannot build on. Well, you can build on top of, but you cannot build onto, right? So you cannot build something that's directly on Polkadot. Although there is a project at the moment that's kind of doing something similar on the Canary network, but we'll get into that later. But think of it like you need to have parachains in order to be able to build something and take advantage of Polkadot security, Polkadot scalability, Polkadot stability, right? And this is where the parachains come into play. Think of them as these layer 1 side chains, right? So the way it works is in order to actually become a parachain, you need to either take part in a crowd loan or you need to be a whale to have a whole lot of DOT and to lock it up during the so-called parachain auctions, which are organized by the Polkadot developers in order to onboard these side chains, right? And the way they do it is they begin at a specific point in time. They announce it normally on Twitter, right? They say, look, we're going to begin on the 11th of November. In this case, this is when they began. And everyone should just basically prepare. Anyone who plans to participate should prepare their crowd loans in advance. And when I say crowd loans, it means they need to try and accumulate as many DOT as possible, not something that they could own, but something that goes into a contribution pot, which they could then use to bid towards in order to hopefully become a parachain and win one of these auctions. So these auctions actually run for a full week. And what's interesting about them is that, let's say, for example, we've got two different projects, Project Y and let's say, we'll give the names, right? Let's say we've got Akala and Moonbeam, right? These are the two top ones. So let's say you've got a 50 million DOT contribution for Akala and a 40 million DOT contribution for Moonbeam before the auction begins. In this case, because Akala has more contributions, then Akala will actually win every single bid when the auctions begin from that point in time. So say from the 11th of November at say 9 a.m. UTC, the auctions begin, and then the winning bids kick in, right? So for every single block that passes, there's a winning bid, and that gets allocated to Akala because they've got the largest contribution. However, if at any point during this auction, which is running for a full week, Moonbeam get, let's say, 51 million contributions, they now surpass Akala, that would give them the winning bids from that point in time. However, what's awesome about these parachain auctions is the way they work. So there's a candle auction system, which means that at a specific point in time, from the beginning of the auction till the end of the auction, there's actually a 5-day gap, to be honest, but we'll get into that in a moment. So let's just keep it simple. So at a specific point in time, basically a specific block is picked automatically, randomly, right? So it's not that there's a third party controlling which block gets picked. So basically it's a random pick of a block between this 5-day gap, which is when the auctions are running, right? And this is the beauty of it, because nobody knows who can actually win the parachain auction. Let's say we're talking about the example here with Akala being at the lead, then Moonbeam taking the lead, then maybe Akala could take the lead again, but you don't know who's going to win until the end, right? That's what's going to keep us in suspense. However, if you have, say, for example, one project which is constantly winning the bids for, say, 5 days in a row, then that pretty much guarantees or gives them a very, very high probability that they're going to win the auction, right? You can there are some websites called there's one called subviz.io, which is an analytical website that actually gives you the percentage probability of a project of which a project has to win the parachain auction.
Right.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so is there a kind of weighted allocation to if you're winning day by day, or is it whoever's winning at the very end gets it, the parachain?
whoever's winning at the very end gets
At the
it.
very end.
That's the
I
beauty
see,
of
I
it.
see.
Yeah, because it depends when the candle auction picked the winner. So there was one. Now that we're talking about Polkadot, let's go back a step and talk about Kusama. So Kusama, think of it as the test network or the canary network of Polkadot, but it's really an ecosystem, right? Basically, the way it works is every single project or most of the projects that are thinking of deploying to Polkadot as a parachain will want to have a parachain on Kusama too, so that they can test their features. They can see what the functionality is like, right? If people like it, if people are using it, and maybe they could even change their mind and say, you know what, I'm going to step back. Things are just not working well, so we're not going to go to Polkadot. We're going to stay on Kusama. So that's the beauty of Kusama, right? It's basically the place where you can start a project, right? And the awesome thing about that is that we had a situation where we had two different projects. One of them was in the lead for like 30% of the time, and then someone else took over, and they continuously won for the remainder of the auction. And by that time, by the end of the auction, they had like a 70% probability, whereas the other ones had a 30% probability, the ones that were in the lead. And because the candle auction happened to pick one of the blocks from the beginning between the 30%, and they were obviously named the winners. So even though the other guys were in the lead for 70% of the time, they lost, right? So
that's super interesting. I didn't know that. So it's variable then. So you basically have interesting. I did not know that. So there's basically a window where these protocols get to bid, and then there's how is that determined exactly? What block? Do you know how it's determined?
No, it's just randomly picked. It's called the candle auction. Yeah, it's called the candle auction. And to make it even more interesting, now that you understand that part, is the way it actually works is you've got the start of the auction, then you've got an ending period which runs for about 2 days. So basically no bids are taking place during the ending period. And then the bids begin from the third day, right? So from the third day until the end of the seventh day, basically you have this 5-day window where the bids are actually taking place. And what's awesome is that the first 2 days is where 100% of the blocks actually count towards a possible win. Whereas when we move into the third day from the bidding ones and to the fourth day and fifth day and so on, then it gradually drops. So the probability that your winning block, that your block is going to be picked by the candle auction is very low once we get into the last few days. So it's just really the 2 days that are very important.
That's interesting.
So that's what a lot of teams are really pushing to get that really high contribution in the first
initially. Yeah.
And maybe just to give people the magnitude of these auctions, like as so far, and correct me if I'm wrong, but so far we have almost 83.7 million Polkadots contributed to all the projects, distributed whatever the percentage is, which is almost equal to now $3.4 billion currently contributed to the whole ecosystem. Say it again.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, we have a tweet saying there's apparently $3.4 billion with DOT already contributed to the Parachain auction.
So that tells you a lot about how much people and just the whole ecosystem that's like, finally we're having the Parachains, and finally we're gonna know who's gonna win or no, and that's gonna kind of kickstart the whole ecosystem so far. And yeah, you can tell just the overall the space is extremely interested in what's happening with Polkadot so far, and it looks like Moonbeam and Akala so far having the biggest battle, and it's extremely close. Today we have the end of the first auction, right?
Is it today?
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Oh wow! So we're gonna see whether it's Moonbeam.
Yeah, it's a huge battle going on, man. It's pretty interesting.
I think personally it's going to be Akala just because they have a higher probability, and but you never know, right? I just think that, but you never know. That's the beauty of the auctions, because Moonbeam did take the lead for a while. They had some winning bids. Things could change. Right, but I do like Moonbeam more. It's just that I personally prefer Akala's distribution mechanism. And if you guys want, we can actually talk about what we should look at with crowd loans, because even so, like, you may be thinking, okay, I'm locking on my DOT or I'm locking on my Kusama for a certain period of time, but what am I really gaining out of it, right? Versus staking, right? Because at the end of the day, this is like long-term staking. So for Kusama, when you contribute your crowd loan, you lock up your Kusama for 11 months, and for Polkadot, it's 22 months, so it's almost 2 years. So it's much longer. So you can see the gap between the two, and why more people were bullish on Kusama, and then the hype switched over to Polkadot. But now when people realized, oh wait, actually I don't feel too comfortable locking my DOT for 2 years. So let me go back to Kusama, right? And that's the thing. That's how it's been going now.
Yeah. So what do you find most interesting with the Parachain auction? You said you like Moonbeam. You said you like Akala. Could you delve into a little bit as to what these projects do and why you like them?
Yeah. So the reason I like Moonbeam is because I've contributed to Moon River, which is the canary network of Moonbeam on Kusama. I just basically looked at the tokenomics. So not only the tokenomics are important, as you know, with projects when you're reviewing them, you should also look at the team behind what they're trying to achieve, etc., and the idea. But I think you should find this middle ground between good tokenomics and also what are the team trying to achieve? Is it just your random DeFi project, or are they trying to do something special? So with Moon River, what caught many people by surprise is, aside from the fact that 30% of their total supply was allocated to the crowd loan, which is pretty much a community token at this stage. Aside from that is the use case, right? Basically think of them as the Ethereum on Kusama. And why do I say that? Well, you know, like how you've got Uniswap, and on Uniswap you've got all these different token pairs, and the majority of them are against the Ethereum pair, right? So what do you need to do when you add a liquidity? When you want to add a pair, you need to add liquidity for both Ethereum and that other token, right? So that's exactly what's happening on Moon River. So you've got all these different dexes which are migrating, porting over from Ethereum over to Kusama in a really simple way, because the Moon River devs have made it really simple for Ethereum. They've got this Ethereum virtual machine, which basically allows you to port a DEX or a smart contract from Ethereum over to Kusama in a really easy way. Really, like, they've got basically a simple tutorial to follow, where any dev can do it. It doesn't take a genius. You can just basically copy the code, follow through the steps, and you're done. So many DEXs have deployed on Moon River since, and because of those DEXs deploying, we've obviously got the pairs, and we need to have Moon River as the pair, because Moon River is the main network token. So you could see why people have been buying a lot of Moon River, and that's why the price shot up a lot and made many people happy. So
okay,
right. So that's the thing. I guess. Sorry, you can go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So with Moon River, like as I was explaining, Moonbeam are going to do exactly the same, but on Polkadot. So you could see why there's going to be hype. However, the downside of Moonbeam, which led me down as well as other people, is that aside from a lot of private investors being involved in Moonbeam, this means that we're not going to see the same kind of not say hype, but we think that there's going to be more dumping and maybe less buying, just because of this huge difference in the distribution ratio as opposed to what we've seen with Moon River. So that's the downside of it. Unfortunately, the actual bonus that you get, or we should say the reward that you get, is only around 3 Glimmer tokens at the moment for each 1 dot that you contribute. Whereas with Kusama and Moon River, it was 14.5 Moon River for each 1 Kusama. So you could see there's quite a gap here, right? And aside from that, remember, there are no VCs that have invested in Moon River, whereas with Moonbeam there is. We've also got Binance, we've got Coinbase invested in them. So there are going to be a lot of people that can sell, right? At least that's the way I see it. At the end of the day, VCs want profit. Not all of them are good VCs.
Right. Yeah. So is that the reason? Because you said a couple of minutes ago that you actually prefer Moonbeam, I guess, or Moon River, but you'd still want Akala to win the auction. Is that?
No, it's not that I want Akala to win. I think that Akala will win it, and I would like to see Akala win it because of the distribution ratio. So even though there are VCs that have invested in Akala, they've actually got 17% allocated to the crowd loan. So the of the total supply. So because of that, it's like they care more about the crowd loaners versus other crowd loan participants out there.
Right.
So
the smaller guy, basically.
Sure.
Yeah. And you basically get a bigger reward. So it's like, should I lock up my dot for 2 years? Okay, then who should I do it for? Well, for the one who's going to give me more reward. And in this case, it's Akala.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. For those who don't know, could you briefly explain what Akala is?
Yeah, so Akala is a DeFi platform on Polkadot. They do have the testnet launched at the moment. I've done various tutorials on my channel back in 2020 when they've initially launched their testnet, which is working super fast, by the way. It's amazing. So basically think of them as a platform where you can do liquidity farming, supply liquidity for different pairs. They do have a swap feature, but you can also take crypto loans, which is probably their biggest feature. And this is the feature that many people are using. You basically use, think of it like using DOT as collateral, or maybe something that's pegged to Bitcoin. Like, for example, REN BTC, there's going to be one called the XBTC as well, which is due to be launched. And there's going to be a lot of these Bitcoin pegged tokens. And then we've also got the L dot as well. So an AC dot. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to have a way to get crypto loans by using a major cryptocurrency as collateral. until you get liquidated. If you do get liquidated, hopefully not, right? And then you get paid in their stable coin, which is AUSD. So you can use that stable coin for swapping, for getting other crypto or whatever, right? There are people that do that for liquidity mining. So yeah, it's up to you how you want to do it, but it basically gives you that flexibility. Now, one of the downsides with DeFi loans at the moment, at least from my point of view, and I think this is going to be eventually solved, is that you need to have a collateral larger than your loan. So then the question comes, what's the motivation for me to get a loan if I need to have a collateral larger than that? Why can't I just use my own crypto then in that case, right? Why should I take the risk?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a, let's say, gray situation at the moment with the DeFi loans, but I think they're eventually going to work on that, and they're going to find a way to give you a bigger loan like you could get from a bank, for example,
right,
without needing such a huge collateral.
High collateral. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, look, I have just one question, just maybe to follow up on that. So let's just say today, right, the Akala or Moon River, whoever wins, the best wins overall, I guess. But let's say that ends and either one of those actually wins. What does that mean for the remaining projects that were on for today, and what does that mean for the next auction to come up?
Yeah. So what happens is basically the next auction begins 1 week after the other one. 2 days after the last one ends. So like I was saying to you, there's that ending period, the cooling off period. And then after that, the next auction begins, which would be auction number 2. And then when the bidding starts, the winning bids would go to the one that has the largest allocation. In this case, it would be Moonbeam, should Akala win this one. So then unless somebody else like Aster Network, I believe is the third largest one, unless they could manage to surpass Moonbeam in terms of contributions, then it's very unlikely that they're going to win the second one, and that would go to Moonbeam. And then Aster will be favored to win the third auction. And this is basically how it works. So every 7 days you have a new auction.
Right.
Until 100 parachains are connected.
So is 100 parachains the max for Polkadot?
Yeah, that's the max for Polkadot and for Kusama. But Gavin Wood said that he's looking at extending those in the near future, assuming that they're going to be stable, that he sees utility and so on. But the idea is that he's going to keep them he's going to cap it at 100. So we'll have to see.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how this supply shock affects the market, because obviously Bitcoin kind of affects the whole market, but this is a very unique event where very suddenly we're going to have a bunch of Polkadot leaving circulating supply for an extended period of time. So it's going to be very interesting to see how does that change the market, how does that affect things. Do we see a little bit of a little bit of different price action for the rest of the market? And I don't know, but
Polkadot to the moon, man. We're going straight to $1 billion for one Polkadot. That's what it is.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I also want to ask, so when we reached out to you, I was kind of asking you on Twitter, what projects do you find interesting? And you mentioned Akala, you mentioned Moonbeam, but you also mentioned Manta Network. Now, I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about Manta Network. So what is it about Manta that you find interesting?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much the only privacy-focused protocol on Polkadot, and they've got a canary network, Calamari, to which I've contributed to and I mentioned it on my channel many times when they had the Kusama crowd loan. We're actually waiting for that distribution sometime this week. But basically, think of it like private transactions on Kusama or on Polkadot, right? Manta Network are on Polkadot. So think of all the swaps that you do using their DEX. They're going to be private. So think of it like Monero maybe. Or Zcash, right? Think of it like nobody can see your transactions. Nobody can see what you're doing on the blockchain, be it swaps or be it sending the transactions out or receiving the transactions, as long as you're using their network. So they're going to have on Manta, I'm not entirely sure what they're going to launch, but I know that on Calamari, they're due to launch MerryPay and MerrySwap, which are two different tools that they've got. So MerryPay is going to be their wallet, where you're going to be able to send private transactions on Kusama, and on MerrySwap, you're going to be able to use it as a DEX, not only to supply liquidity, but also to do swaps in a private fashion using ZK Snark's protocol.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. Are you aware of Phallo Network at all?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
So to my understanding, it seems like Phallo Network and Manta are kind of going after the same niche. Now, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Phallo Network, but what is the difference you see between those two protocols?
Yeah, no, I mean, Phallo Network is more data focused. I think Maxon just went off there for a moment.
Yeah. It's okay.
Sorry.
I'm here, guys. Don't be scared, man. I got it.
Just saw the dark screen there.
Oh
Yeah.
no, we're good. We're good. I'm not sure what happened there exactly, but yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, Phala is basically more on the data front. So it's think of all the data that's being sent through that could be private, whereas Mant are more on the transaction front.
I see. Okay.
Instead of files and stuff, we're talking purely transactions for Manta Network and for Calamari.
I got you.
So,
Okay.
but they're actually working together. So it's not, don't see them as competitors, see them as partners.
Right. Okay. Right. Interesting. Are there any other parachains that you're participating in?
Yeah, I've already done so. BitCountry Pioneer on Kusama. They're also going to have a parachain on Polkadot called BitCountry, which is a metaverse platform. And we all know how huge metaverses have just become. All of a sudden, like the trend has just
Yeah,
exploded,
it's
guys.
huge.
I mean, it's just like NFTs were, right? Now
Yeah.
with Facebook wanting to launch metaverse as well. So yeah, you
Oh
could
yeah,
see
everyone's
why.
more than excited. It's the future. That's where all
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
that's where everyone's playing gaming.
Yeah, it's the newest, biggest narrative. And while I
100%.
think it's here to stay, it's going to be so interesting to see what sticks around after this first initial hype wave is over. So just how NFTs had the first initial hype wave, other niches as well. DeFi had a hype wave back in September last year. I'm going to be very interested to see what sticks around, and whatever project I think has gets a parachain auction, I think is probably up there on the list of what could stick around there. So, forgive me, remind me again. Was there a project that you said was metaverse related that's going for a parachain slot?
Yeah.
Could you
So
remind
it's
me
called
of the?
BitCountry. They've actually already so BitCountry have the Canary network and the main network, right? BitCountry Pioneer was the Canary network on Kusama. They actually won the 13th auction on Kusama. We're on the 15th auction at the moment, so they need to wait for the 15th auction to complete before the last 4 auctions, which have been running, can upgrade from Parathreads to Parachains. Again, it might be confusing to some people, but about what Parathreads is, but think of a Parathread like a miniature Parachain, except it's the pay-as-you-go model. So you're basically paying to have access to those blocks, for those blocks to be generated.
Right.
So every single project that wants to become a Parachain first launches as a Parathread, and then once they win the auction, then they automatically get upgraded to Parachain. So the way Gavin Wood has done it now, or the Kusama devs, they've decided to wait for these 4 auctions to complete, the last 4 auctions that we've had, and then they're going to upgrade the previous 4 winners to Parachains. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then they have to go through various phases. So
Right.
just for people that are interested to contribute to crowd loans, just know that you're not going to get your tokens from that crowd loan straight away. They do take about 2 months, give or take. Some of them move faster, some of them move slower. We've had Karura, which has actually moved very fast. It only took them like 2.5, 3 weeks to distribute the tokens. But we've had Moon River, which took just over 2 months, but it was well worth it because the returns were humongous. Definitely. So I'm expecting BitCountry Pioneer to take roughly about 2 months as well before we're going to see the distribution. But I do think it's going to be worth it as long as the metaverse hype is here to stay in the trend.
Yeah,
so we'll have to see.
Yeah,
and there's one other project that I want to mention, that's Darwinia, which are also running for a crowd loan on Polkadot. Unless, in case you're not familiar, they've been around for quite a while. Basically, they're a bridge between Ethereum and Polkadot. And also Tron and Polkadot, so they're trying to bridge different ecosystems, different blockchains. And they've also got a game on the metaverse called Evolution Land. So they've got NFTs within that game, and they're now with the metaverse hype. We'll have to see if their platform will also be taken off, because they've been a bit under the radar for a while now. Simply because we didn't have the Polkadot Parachains, so without that, nobody was really talking about it at the time. It was more focused on Kusama. So we'll have to see how things go for that as well.
100%. See, that's what we're telling you guys. We really got the Polkadot expert on the channel, man. That's what it is.
No, 100%.
That's what it is.
I love
and
this.
We left. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, Kryptos Chain. We put the information in the and the YouTube channel as well for all this information. If you guys want to follow up, I have a quick question for you. Actually, a couple of questions. Actually, the first one, we've been kind of big on just exchange tokens overall. Recently, decentralized or non-decentralized. With Polkadot, we were looking, I would say a couple of weeks ago, me and Brendan were looking between PolkaSwap and Polkadex. Do you have any kind of preference with those? Is there anything that you would you prefer over either one of these exchanges overall?
Yeah, I'm a Polkadex guy. I've been supporting Polkadex. I actually had one of the co-founders, Vivek, on my channel back
Oh, that's
in
awesome.
February or March, if I'm not mistaken, or it could have been April, I think. But anyway, it's been a while, and they've actually launched mainnet now, so
Right.
they're going through different phases before mainnet is going to be fully launched. And why I really like them is that they're an order book based DEX, so we're going to be able to see the actual charts directly on there. And it's just the way they function. I mean, they're going to have fast transactions. You're not going to have to wait for those delays that we're seeing with DEXs, right? I know some of them can take a while. You do need to wait for that transaction to get confirmed, especially on the ones where we need to do the swap, right? Sometimes you obviously need to approve the swap, and then you need to perform the swap. So you need to go through that two-step process. Whereas with Polkadex, is not going to be the case. You're going to have, just like on a centralized exchange, there's going to be the buy orders, the sell orders, and you can just place the order as you wish. Place a market order, place a limit order, have a stop limit order. The typical functionalities that you'd see on a centralized exchange.
And I think that's actually like very good news for a lot of traders as well, right? That was my follow-up question, and I'm happy you really mentioned how long it usually takes for you to get your order in and get it filled, on your typical decentralized exchange like Uniswap or 1inch or whatever the case might be. And even, the bigger issues also Ethereum's gas fees. And that's what we've been interested with Polkadot overall, because, the way we're seeing things now is that the crypto space can't really survive unless all these different blockchains are actually communicating with each other. And that's what we've been liking with Polkadot a lot recently, because the main focus is interoperability. And with the parachains and the auctions and all that, we're giving kind of each one of those projects, depending on what the market thinks of them, and they're earning the right to actually build on the actual on Polkadot, on the blockchain. We're making sure that the project is actually good and well-rounded enough for it to help to push the Polkadot ecosystem in general. But maybe if you want to talk about the current maybe what's happening with Ethereum gas fees and all that, and then how does that compare to Polkadot? Are we going to have cheaper and faster transactions, and how does that translate?
Yeah, are we going to have $200 transaction fees on Polkadot?
I hope we don't, man.
Yeah. No. I mean, what we have seen, though, unfortunately, is with regards to Moon River, there has been a bit of a backlog now with their transactions. And what's actually happening is because they've got so many DEXs on there, they didn't actually expect that. It seems that it really is chaos, as they say with Kusama, expect chaos. And I've actually, when I placed the transaction today on Moon River, I had to pay 5 Gwei instead of the usual 1.2 or 1.3 Gwei that I would usually pay. And thankfully, we're talking about really low transactions. We're talking about maybe 5 cents, 6 cents, maximum of 10 cents, even when you're paying 5 Gwei. So it's really cheap. So even though we're seeing this issue, because it's so cheap, you don't really feel it. But we are seeing the issue there as well.
Right.
I just don't think we're going to get to a point where we're going to be paying $20 for a transaction, at least not on Moon River.
Yeah. 20 would be cheap, man.
20 would be amazing. I would kill for $20 transactions right now.
100%.
I don't know if you see some of the transactions lately, hundreds of dollars, insane.
But for Ethereum, I don't think we're going to see that situation get fixed anytime soon, at least not until proof of stake goes live, right?
Yep.
And they need to go through phases as well.
Yeah, and assuming this bull market does continue, imagine Ethereum's at 10K. What are the gas fees going to look like? Oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm almost wishing Ethereum doesn't do well. That way the gas fees don't get too insane.
Yeah.
But look, man, I want to ask you a bit of an interesting question here. If you had to choose one of these parachain, one of these projects that are going for a parachain slot, assuming the ones that are the current ranking is the one that gets them. If you had to choose one project to hold for the next 5 years, whether it's Akala, Moonbeam, Manto, something else, what would you choose if you had to choose one?
I could. I mean, I'm very sure of this answer, right? But it depends on what you're really asking me. I mean, are you asking me if I had to choose a crowd loan, or if I had to choose to buy the token once it goes on an exchange?
Let's go with buy the token.
Yeah,
first.
buy the token. Yeah.
Okay, it would definitely be Moonbeam, no brainer.
Really?
I mean, I've seen what Moon River's like.
Yeah.
Not Akala for the crowd loan, but not to buy it off the market personally.
Really? Okay.
I know it sounds weird, but the reason why I would choose Moonbeam is because of its utility. I mean, we understand that there's going to be a lot of DEXs launching on Moonbeam. They're actually waiting They can't wait. SushiSwap is going to launch on there as well. They're on Moonriver.
Oh.
They're going to launch on Moonbeam. And just think of that, like, right, we're going to have the VCs dumping these tokens. I'm expecting a dump in Moonbeam once it launches. And then once we see that dump, that's when I'm personally looking to make an entry and accumulate a large bag for long term, because I just love their staking system, even for Moonriver. Like, I'm staking on Moonriver. You don't need to wait to unstake, which is awesome. You get like between 20 to 30% APY, and you don't need to wait. Which is like, which other platform gives you that flexibility to basically unstake from a collator whenever you want to be able to sell if you see the price going up? And that's absolutely amazing.
And I guess that's why you asked the question if it's just to buy the token or if in terms of the crowd loans, because I'm assuming your preference in terms of the crowd loans is you getting higher
the crowd
interest
loan sucks for Moonbeam, but the utility and the project behind, like, the project is absolutely awesome, top notch. But the crowd loan structure absolutely sucks for Moonbeam, and I've been saying it time and time again. It's a shame. I had high hopes, but it is what it is, right? And we can't change it.
You know, we actually tried to participate ourselves, but we couldn't with our from where we're from.
That's true.
Which really sucks. Yeah. But why that's interesting.
Would you want to lock up your dot for 2 years just to get 3 glimmer for each dot, considering that the Take Flight event got in for 25 cents per token? I mean, you're basically it's like locking your dot for 75 cents.
Yeah,
that's true.
And
that's why you gotta
$40 at the moment. So
you gotta keep that in mind. I think for a lot of people, especially when we're starting to look at more locking up your dot or locking up some of these tokens you have or your money in general with this, because if we're talking about a long term, a couple of years from now, then you got to take into account, how many VCs actually invested in this and at what price. If they got something at a cent and now it's at $5 or $10. I'm selling this, right? And that's definitely going to affect the people that have it locked up. So that's actually a very good point.
Now, I want to retouch on something. So you mentioned that the interest rate for staking Moonriver was 20%. Is that the same for Moonbeam? Are you aware?
I don't know. We don't know yet. It all depends on how many people stake, because they've got a certain allocation. Like for Moonriver, 5% goes into there's a 5% annual inflation, right, of their total supply, and 2.5% of that is allocated to the stakers.
Right.
So it's based on how many people stake, because you get a share of that 2.5%. If less people stake, the APY goes up. If more people stake, the APY goes down. So the average is between 20. It was even 90% in the first.
Because no one was staking, right?
Absolutely crazy. Nobody was staking. Do you
know if Korora has staking? Because I actually participate in Korora. I'm trying to. They have staking though. I'm not sure, but
sorry, say that again.
Do you know if Korora has staking? I heard they did, but
Korora, no. A lot of these DeFi platforms don't have staking. You need to do liquidity farming. You need to supply liquidity for them, but you unfortunately can't stake. That's one of the downsides. Yeah, that's why the token's been suffering so much, and I think that's where a lot of people have gone heavy in Korora at the time because they were the first winners of the Kusama Parachain auctions. And they kind of regretted it because they didn't push heavy in Moonriver, considering the tokenomics.
Which is much better.
But people didn't realize it at the time. And Dan Reeser, I've had Dan Reeser on my channel, who's the VP of Korora, and he's really good at marketing, and he invested a lot. Like the whole Akala and Korora team invested a lot in marketing, and that really helped them. So that caused enough hype to get a lot of people in. And then people kind of overlooked the rest of the crowd loans because of that, right? So,
definitely. No, I agree. Yeah.
So I got maybe one more here, kind of interesting question. So
I feel like that's the question you've been waiting to ask.
I just want to hear what your perspective is, because there's a bit of I don't know how much debate there is, but there is some degree of debate as to whether Kusama has longevity now that Polkadot Parachains are live. I mean, there are some reasons to think that Kusama will have longevity, cheaper fees, cheaper parachain slots, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you had to choose one to hold for the next 5 years, buy it on the open market, Kusama or Polkadot, do you have a preference? And if you do, why?
Oh, between the two coins?
Yeah,
Kusama, no doubt about it, because it's about 8x lower market cap than Polkadot.
Much lower
supply. It definitely has more room to grow, and there's actually talks at the moment of possibly increasing the total supply, redenominating the total supply from actually being around 10 million to being 1 billion to match at Polkadot. So if they do that, then everyone is going to have 100x their coins, and then that would mean the price would be 100x lower. So it would take it to about $3.50, which would be like, imagine buying DOT when it was $3.50 back in 2020.
Oh
Right.
wow.
So I think people would psychologically think, oh, the price is so low, I need to get this.
Undervalued, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a psychological thing, because I've been
Yeah.
speaking to people who are new in crypto, and they've been saying, why should I buy Kusama at $300 when I
Right.
can buy Polkadot at $30?
Doesn't
You know, it's like,
They don't know
let
the
me
supply,
explain to you how market cap works.
Yeah.
And then once you explain to them how market cap works, then they see the value. They're like, oh wow, this is really undervalued.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is, for me, this is the reason. And considering that they're going to have continuous crowd loans, continuous parachain auctions for the next 48 weeks, and then I think they're going to take a break from what they've been saying on Twitter. Then it just tells you, right, how many more KSM are going to be locked to the supply shock. I know they're inflationary, right? They are KSM being generated every year. It's like 14-15% at the moment, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Which is still not that bad, considering how many KSM are getting locked up. So there's that supply shock situation.
Definitely.
Wow, that's super. I'd be super curious as to how they're going to distribute those new tokens. I mean, would it just be an airdrop? Would it just be a? I'm not sure if there's any news on that front. If they're going to increase the supply like that for Kusama.
Oh, how are they going to distribute them? Oh,
Yeah,
they just go to the stakers. Yeah, they go to the stakers. So
They go
if
to
you
stakers.
stake Kusama, you get paid in Kusama.
So
Right.
that's how they would distribute the increased supply if they were to go down that route.
Yes, that's correct. No, sorry, no. Do you mean to increase the supply? No, they're not actually going to increase the supply. It's just redenomination. So basically, whatever you hold at the moment is just going to be 100x. It's just changing the actual digits. It doesn't
I
mean
see.
it
Okay.
doesn't mean pumping new coins into circulation. Sorry,
Sure,
I'm-
they're just okay. I see. So thank you for the
yeah, because
clarification.
Polkadot had the same. You know, when Polkadot started, they were at 10 million, and they've bumped it up to 1 billion.
I see. So they're just changing the digit. Okay.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
changing the digits, not
Right.
and then the price would be impacted as well, of course.
So hey man,
Yeah.
let's maybe get to the juicy part of this whole thing,
Oh,
right?
sure,
So
man.
Polkadot right now it's $41. I'm not sure. You sound like you do some sort of besides just the fundamentals of just keeping up with the with Polkadot ecosystem in general. Have you do you give any importance to technical analysis, or maybe what the Polkadot price is going to be at?
No, I mean,
in
I
the
just do
future?
basic TA. I do basic TA sometimes on my channel, but the majority of cases I just talk about the news, and
Right.
I do tutorials. So I'm not like a TA person, but I do understand the basic concept of support and resistance, but I don't go into all the technical details of the RSI and
Yeah.
this and that, So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I have made a prediction in the past, and I was saying that Polkadot will eventually get to $100. And I
Yeah.
did think it's going to happen this year, but I mean, looking at it now, it's looking very unlikely, right? I mean, we have to be honest here.
Yeah, especially with the current state of the market, things are kind of
Exactly.
stagnating a bit. There's
We'd
a
be
couple.
lucky. We'd be lucky if we see another $50 by the end of this year, to be honest, for Polkadot.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's like
But it all depends on Bitcoin at the end of the day. Bitcoin just
depends on
pumps and surprises everyone. Then, of course, it's going to drag the old coins with it later on, So.
Yeah. And we're seeing a little bit of relief rally now with Bitcoin. I don't know about you, man, but I found it a little bit funny. I woke up, I opened up crypto YouTube and complete panic. I was like, why is
people are
everyone
losing their
panicking all of a sudden?
minds.
Yeah.
And then I look at the chart and it's like, we had a 15% pullback and we're sitting on support. Why is everyone completely losing their man? Like people are saying, is the bear market here? We're sitting on support with a 15% pullback. I mean, guys,
Exactly.
it's a little bit funny, but we'll see how she goes. Man.
People don't want to see 59K anymore. They want to see the 60K figure. I mean, it was 68K? So that was.
It did get to 60. What do we have here? Let's see.
It's above 60,000 right now. I don't know if we can even share screens. Okay,
yeah. Let's just share the screens.
Yeah, so I have the chart pulled up here. So yeah, I mean it's sitting on support. This previous shoulder here, it's holding. It's above 60. If you go to the lower time frames as well, I mean RSI is picking up, stochastic's picking up. I mean 4 hours seems like it's ready to pull back up too. And if we look at the 4 hour RSI, and we don't have to delve too into the weeds here, but we're extremely oversold. And the last time we were this oversold on the 4 hour RSI was local bottom. So that is something interesting to know. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a bit of a relief rally here. The key thing is, I think if we put in a lower high here, if we put a lower high, then we could be worried. But I think a little bit of relief rally for now kind of makes sense in my opinion.
And that's the thing, man. I think when you stay in crypto for long enough, you'll see both the ends of the the both sides of the coin. At one point, when everything is just dropping, people just leave the space overall. And when people when things start to rise, there's just a lot of fear and speculation in the market. You know, we just put in new all-time highs at 68K when we were literally a couple months ago all the way down at the 30K for Bitcoin. The whole space just dropped a good 70%, every one of these altcoins, right? But that's what we noticed, man, especially, you know, pretty sure about you too. You know, you have a YouTube channel, so you can probably see the interest more in the space. And when things, you know, drop heavily, everybody kind of leaves the space and no one asks about it. You know, no one wants to buy Bitcoin at 30K. No one wants to buy Polkadot when it's all the way at, you know, when it drops like a good 40-50% sale.
$11.
Yeah, and now everyone starts to ask, you know, more and more in the comments that, hey, should I buy now? You know, but I guess that's what you either keep up with the space, or when you come in and your interest peaks, or when you start hearing about crypto more and more. What we notice is that people come in pretty late when the price is too high, right? When they should have kind of stayed in and bought when everything was on sale, basically, right? So
and us as content creators, we actually see that in the views as well. I mean, when the market dumped back in June, you could see that you weren't getting as many views as you used to get, right? And I remember going to BitBoy's channel, and we're talking about, there was one guy there who was a guest, and he was talking about technical analysis. And he said, guys, don't be scared. I don't think we're going to dump below 30K. I think 30K is going to hold. And it didn't really hold, but it wasn't too bad, right? And we didn't go much lower than that. So he was kind of right. Yeah, we just had a wick. Yeah. So he was kind of right, that guy, you know. And I was thinking, going back, and now that guy is always going on his channel, you know, and always talking about these things. So it's like, you know, if you believe in something and you know that it's here to stay, even if it dumps to say 15K, 20K, it may be panic, but you know that eventually it's going to go back up, right? So
definitely,
and it all depends what this goes back to people investing more than they should. Like if you need money next year, for example, and you're investing that money, then you're probably making the wrong decision, right? Because you never know what could happen next year.
Yeah.
Definitely. But if you're investing this thinking, I'm not going to cash out no matter what happens for the next 4 or 5 years, I'm going to wait for that 5x or 10x or whatever, then you're fine. You're at peace of mind with yourself. Because it doesn't matter if you're seeing the dump, you're just going to accumulate more if you have the capital. If not, you're just going to sit back and wait for it, right? So,
But look, I kind of lost hope when we're looking at people getting liquidated in the billions, in the 20 billion, 25, $30 billion. Just people, not even, you know, just 100x leverage everything. And, you know, things just go bad.
Pretty much, right?
If you go to not bybit.com, the exchange, but Bybit, the info aggregator, you could actually see the number of money being liquidated. And man, it was one of those I forget back when it was, maybe it was May or something, one of those massive sell-offs, and we saw how many billions of dollars getting liquidated. Like, you know, we used to have a Bybit link, but we took it down once we saw
like felt too bad.
We just said like, oh my god,
it's not safe, guys.
We saw this massive liquidation number, and if you go to the exchange and see which exchanges were the ones that get liquidated, it was the vast majority was Bybit, which is where all the retail goes. You know, so it's true. It's very like you said, it's the short term is very risky, the long term is where it's at. And I kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit more on that specific point and kind of get some more clarification, which is are you a just hardcore long-term investor? I'm going to buy and hold forever. Do you kind of swing trade? Are you do you kind of go by the cycles? Like, what's your approach to?
I mean, I used to trade, but I didn't really follow the rules. It wasn't like official professional trading style, like, you know, following a rule, having a plan and following and sticking to that plan. So I've been watching a lot of those videos. I actually wanted to do that. So then I just thought, you know, I don't have the time, because I did have a full-time job as well at the time. Yeah. So instead of doing that, I was just flipping. So basically, if we're on green and I was up 40-50%, I would sell a certain portion, and then I would wait for a green day and then buy back. So I would sell in stable coins, wait for the red day, and then buy back. Right. So that was basically my plan. And right now, I mean, with the crowd loans, my plan is just to lock up in the crowd loans on Kusama, because I'm a bigger fan of Kusama because of the shorter lock time, and just waiting to get the returns, you know, the contributions that I've gotten from those Parachains. Right. And basically just selling a portion of that, because we do get an unlock. That's one thing that probably I should have said to people. So when you get the contributions from contributing to a crowd loan, different Parachains, different projects have different structures. So for example, Karura gave you 30% unlocked, transferable, and then 70% vested over the period of the lease being 48 weeks, 11 months, right? Moon River was the same, 30%. So some of these give you a certain percentage, and the rest of it gets unlocked either on a daily basis or after a certain period of time. So what I do is I tend to sell, if I see the price do well, I tend to sell the initial unlock just to kind of get some of that liquidity back, some of that investment that I put in, because now I'm no longer stuck. I have some liquid assets, right, that I can use to maybe buy some more Kusama, maybe contribute to new crowd loans, right? So this is my kind of strategy. And then also, being a content creator, I am kind of lucky thanks to that, because a lot of these crowd loans also have referral schemes. So I do get referral bonuses from people using my referral links. So that also helps, big time.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, can I throw out one more question here, which I think is my
Sure.
Let's do it.
I know you're the Polkadot guy. You love the Polkadot ecosystem. Obviously, makes a lot of sense. It's wildly interesting. Is there any other project aside from Polkadot that you find interesting, that you like, that you own of?
Besides
just some
Dogecoin.
random low cap Dogecoin? Are you all in Shiba? Are you a secret Shiba whale? Like, is there anything other than Polkadot you like?
Yeah. It's called Phantasma Chain with the tokens sold. I've actually followed them from back in 2018, I would say, maybe at the end of 2018. They started as an ICO on Neo, and a lot of these ICOs on Neo died out. But Phantasma has been one of the few that actually survived. So they basically developed their own blockchain, and now they've created this NFT marketplace called Ghost Market, where they basically integrated with different blockchains. So Neo, they've got Ethereum, they've got Polygon, they've got Binance Smart Chain over there, and hopefully they're also going to integrate with Polkadot or Kusama at some point. So basically, you can basically create NFTs, and you can sell NFTs or buy NFTs in any of your favorite currencies on all these different blockchains. So you can connect your wallet to all these various blockchains. It's absolutely awesome. And they've had some cool partnerships as well. They've got an interesting game called 22 Ors racing game, where you can basically hold an NFT car and an NFT pass, and then you can use that pass to access the game, and obviously use the NFT card to play in the game. Without the car, you can't.
Okay, right.
It's really cool. It's interactive, and they've grown quite a lot. They've also created an NFT for these guys, NFTs for these guys from Jay and Silent Bob, if you know them, the actors.
Not really,
From that series, Jay and Silent Bob. Yeah. Anyway, so basically they went to Hollywood, let's say, with their product to try to advertise it, and they got some actors to use their NFTs and basically market it. So they're trying to expand and they're growing. So yeah, definitely.
So so what is it called again fully for the people that are
Phantasma, PH, and then Phantasma.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But it starts with PH.
Perfect. Yeah, NFTs have been blowing up, man. We're trying to even wrap our not just like heads around it, but there's so much happening with NFTs that you actually don't even know where to look, and that's what for you to even. Because some of these guys are like having their own NFTs or their own blockchains coming up out of nowhere, and then if you want to be a part of that, or you can't buy the token, they don't have their own token. You might have to look where what other things they're invested in overall. Besides that, to kind of indirectly invest in that whole NFT project. But NFTs is where it's at, man. Recently, that's where the main focus has been, and it's been kind of carrying, in my opinion, the whole crypto space on its back, kind of like pushing us more and more mainstream, and people are now focusing more on beside the NFT space. What does crypto have overall?
Metaverse as well.
Yeah, there you go. And my battery's running low here. God.
Oh, is that what's going on?
It is.
Oh,
it's gonna keep flashing.
Yeah.
But I agree, man. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming here. It's a lot of information to unpack, definitely for the people, but. It's definitely some interesting times for Polkadot so far.
Yeah, and look, we're getting near an hour here. We could start to wrap up, but I'd want to say from my end as well, I really appreciate you coming on, man. Like, we're trying to learn more about the Polkadot ecosystem. I learned, a thing or two from this live stream, so I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me. No, it was a pleasure to talk about Polkadot and hopefully help you learn more. Help the viewer learn more as well.
Definitely.
Just drop us a comment telling us what you think.
Perfect. And if you maybe you just want to let the people know where they can see, that's my battery's gone. So maybe if you want to let the people know where they can find you out on Twitter and YouTube, if you have anything, any new projects coming up, any live streams coming up, so they can join
whatever you want to show, please show.
Look, the floor is yours now, man.
Yeah, just follow me on YouTube. That's where I'm mostly on at Kryptos Chain. You can find me. Maybe you guys are going to be posting the link in the pinned comment of this
there's a
video.
link in the description below, and we'll put
Or
it
in the
comments.
description if you want to check it. And also on Twitter at Kryptos Chain on Twitter with the K. It's Kryptos with a K, by the way.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna keep pumping out Polkadot related content as much
There
as
we go.
possible.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, look, if we ever want, if we ever want to know what's going on in the Polkadot chain, we'll hit you up. Hopefully, you'll let us know what's hot and what's new and what's going on over there. So,
Definitely.
yeah, man. Appreciate you coming
Perfect.
on. That's it for me.
Thank you so much for
Absolutely. Thank you,
coming
guys.
on. Appreciate it. Take care.
Welcome.
And we'll definitely going to have you sometime soon here just to get into more details. And for everyone that was listening, appreciate you listening. Make sure you subscribe to him, to us as well. Just don't forget that.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching.
All right, folks. Take care. Thanks, man.
Peace.